Hey YouTube, this video was filmed on August 6, 2023. This was over at my mom's house. This is a bald-faced hornet's nest. For the time of the year, this nest is pretty large, but had it been left alone, it would have grown much larger. When feasible, I prefer to just use a shop vac with a little bit of water and some dish soap inside of it to get rid of the wasps. As you can see, I do have a bee suit that does help to keep me from getting stung, although it still could be possible. I've been helping people out now for probably about 6 years doing these. I probably average around 10 a year, the years that I am doing a lot. The past couple years I haven't done too many. But this is something I kind of came across randomly to do. Like I said earlier, I already had the bee suit. I was interested in keeping bees, because of some coworkers that I worked with that did. And I kind of got contacted by some friends that knew I had the suit, and that's kind of how this all started. Now, the idea is not to have too powerful of a shop vac where you're actually ripping the nest apart. What I'm simply trying to do here is actually just catch the hornets or the wasps right when they're taking off or when they're in flight. The camera doesn't always show it, but they do get sucked in there very quickly. When you're actually there doing it, you can feel them going down a tube and kind of hear them. The video doesn't really pick that up because the audio is on the camera in the background instead of the close camera. Like I said earlier, the bee suit does not make you 100% sting proof. You do have to be careful doing this. I have been fortunate where I haven't been stung while doing this for the past several years. I do take extra precautions. I always wear a baseball cap to keep the veil away from my face. I also wear safety glasses because, especially the bald-faced hornets, they actually are capable of spraying venom. And I've had that happen before where they've tried to spray venom into my eyes. There's a couple other pretty popular YouTubers that do a lot of these removals. I've been fortunate enough where I've actually reached out to them and they've answered me back on emails and through some other messages. And they definitely were able to give me a lot of tips and tricks over the years. Plus, just watching their videos, you do learn a lot. For the most part here, the game plan is pretty simple. Some of the tips would be not to stand directly in the line of flight. It may look like I am in the video, but I actually am off to the side. That way the returning foragers don't see me first. They go straight to that nest. And like I said, the idea is I'm trying to catch the ones that are either about to land or that are taking off. Occasionally you can see some hovering around, and I will try to get those. But leaving that nest there for them to have a landing point does make this a lot easier than just going up and trying to remove the whole nest. Now, this nest most likely started several months ago in the early spring. When my mom had contacted me, she hadn't noticed the nest there until either that day or the day before, which typically is the case. From the different people I've helped and talked to, you usually don't really notice them until they get larger. These nests start out every year. We're in Western PA. So these nests start out every year with one founding queen that survived the winter by, most likely burrowing into like a log or the ground. And she was already fertilized from the year prior. So she lands, starts the nest by herself, and then the colony starts small, and as the numbers grow, at a certain point, around this time of the year, that's when the nests start to get larger, and that's when a lot of people realize them. Now, these are known as a bald-faced hornet. I'll put a picture of them up on the screen here. They actually are not a hornet, though. They're a member of the wasp family. They're actually a type of yellow jacket, which there are hundreds of types of yellow jackets, around the world. I think in our area, there may be like 10 different variations, I believe. I'm not an expert on the matter, but despite these not being yellow or looking like a normal yellow jacket, these are in fact a type of yellow jacket. Now, what I'm doing right now in the video is I finally chose to stop being stubborn, and I went and got a cinder block to basically get that vac up higher. Up until now, I was basically working with a shorter hose, trying to reach, and missing a lot. So it can be a little bit stressful to stop and let the numbers build up and walk away, which is why I had committed up until that point. But I finally got enough and went and got that cinder block. Now, like I said earlier, this nest was decently sized, but had the potential to get a lot larger over the next few months. When I was done, I did take the time to count out how many I'd caught, which was about 186, I believe. I'm going to say there was over 200 probably in this nest. There was some that I took care of with spray at the end. I sprayed what was left of the nest so that the foragers coming back when they land, they would be done by that night. From what I've seen in the past and read online, a nest like this probably would have reached 400 or so, possibly even more if it was a really healthy, productive nest. And like I said earlier, when you're doing this with a shop vac, it's good to leave the nest there as long as you can. That does give them a point to land on, makes them a little bit more manageable. So I'm just taking my time. I think all said in total, it was about 15 minutes before the nest was completely vacuumed out and tore down. And you'll see at the end, I ended up sticking around the area for probably 20 minutes or so and went back a few times as foragers kept coming back. Now, there are some people that think that these are bees or honeybees. These are not bumblebees or honeybees. Those are two totally different things. Wasps and hornets do not make honey. They're actually considered to be carnivorous. They'll hunt other insects, and it's actually their pupae stage that is carnivorous. So the adults will go out, catch other insects, they'll come back and feed the pupae, and the pupae actually excrete like a sugar type byproduct, and that is what the adults feed off of in the nest. Okay, now what I'm starting to do is just slowly remove some of the paper to the nest. Now, that paper is made from them flying out, and they basically chew up wood with their mandibles, and they come back and work feverishly to make that nest layer by layer. As they continue to make outer layers of the nest, the workers inside that are making comb use those layers inside and detach them from the nest itself to make the comb. So as the inside grows, the outside's also growing, and the workers on the inside are making more space for the comb, which you can kind of see here. Okay, now I'm actually starting to remove some of the layers of comb. There was 3 levels of cone that were being built currently in this. Again, as I said earlier, the comb in these nests do not have honey. They're strictly for eggs, growing the larvae and the pupae, and hatching. Now, typically when you remove the comb in these, there are adolescent wasps or hornets attached that can't fly yet. That's what I'm doing right now, is just sucking some of those off the comb. Okay, and as I also said earlier, towards the end of this, I did use some spray, and I basically saturated the paper that was under the awning, and I also sprayed some of the exterior of the awning. That way, if there was any foragers once I was done that flew back later, when they did eventually land, you know, they would be knocked out that night and not be an issue the next day. In doing all this, I did confirm that I did catch the queen. The queen is easy to find compared to the other wasps in there because she is much larger. So this nest has no chances of making a comeback this year. And now I'm pretty much just trying to get those scavengers that are coming back. Like I said, that can take 20 to 40 minutes sometimes, depending on how far out they are. The numbers of this were pretty much knocked down. Okay, here's a shot of the comb. Like I said earlier, this comb had 3 levels right now from where they were building. You can see some of the white cap cells, and then you can also see the pupae in there. And if you look real close, you can actually see them moving around. That would be what the adult wasps are feeding those pieces of the insect to. And from here, like I said, I basically did hang out for a little while to wait for any scavengers, and occasionally went over and sucked them up while I was there. And the remaining ones all died that night. The next day, there was none flying around. Hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please comment on the comment bar. And we hope to see you again for future content. Thanks.